You gave them the full explanation, every reason, every detail, said calmly, said clearly, said with nothing to hide, and somehow you still walked away feeling like you owed them more. Here's what nobody tells you. Some people don't ask for an explanation because they're confused. They ask because they've learned that if they keep asking, you'll keep giving. And somewhere in all that giving, they get to decide who you are instead of you. Today, the specific people you should never explain yourself to again. And number 4 is the one almost everyone is doing right now without realizing it. Here's the pattern hiding underneath all of this. Explaining yourself isn't dangerous by itself. It's actually one of the most human things you can do. And with the right people, it builds real closeness. The danger isn't the explaining. It's who you're explaining to. Because there's a specific type of person who doesn't receive your reasons the way you think they do. They don't take them in, sit with them, and understand you better. They take them apart, looking for the one weak thread they can pull to unravel the whole thing. And the terrifying part is, in the moment, both types of people look identical. They lean in, they nod, they say the exact same 4 words. I just want to understand. One of them means it. The other one is already loading the next question. This matters because every time you explain yourself to the wrong person, you're not just wasting your breath. You're quietly changing the terms of the conversation. The moment you justify a decision, you've turned it from a fact into a proposal, and proposals can be voted down. You've told them, without meaning to, that your no is a starting offer, not a final answer. And people who are looking for control hear that shift instantly, the way a shark feels a single drop of blood. So let's name exactly who does this, so you can stop handing them the knife. The first type is the person who interrogates disguised as curiosity. You'll know this one by what happens after you answer. A person who genuinely wants to understand you takes your answer in, and it changes something, softens something, ends the conversation. This person does the opposite. Your answer just earns you another question. Where were you? Who were you with? Why so late? Why didn't you say so earlier? Each honest reply doesn't close the gap. It opens a new one. You're not having a conversation anymore. You're being processed. And the moment you notice that your answers are multiplying the questions instead of ending them, that's your signal to stop supplying material. The second type is the person who saves your honesty for later. This one is quiet and it's brutal, because it punishes the exact behavior you thought made you a good partner or a good friend. Being open, you say something real, something vulnerable. I've been overwhelmed. I need a little space. And weeks later it comes back reshaped into a weapon. So you admit you check out the second things get hard. That's not a misunderstanding a better explanation can fix. That's your own words, sharpened and handed back to cut you. With this person, your honesty was never received as connection. It was filed away as evidence, and evidence only gets used once there's a case to build. The third type is the person who profits from misreading you. This is the one that takes people the longest to see, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. If someone gains something by getting you wrong, the moral high ground, a story that makes them the victim, sympathy from everyone around you, then no version of your explanation will ever land, because their confusion about you is doing exactly what they need it to do. You'll catch yourself thinking, if I just explain it better this time, they'll finally get it. They already get it. Getting it was never the point. Number 4, the one almost everyone is quietly guilty of. This is the person who treats your boundary like the opening move of a negotiation. You say no, and instead of hearing a decision, they hear an invitation to debate. But why? That doesn't seem fair. Just help me understand. And the second you start defending that no, you've confirmed it's negotiable, because a boundary that comes with reasons attached has handles, and handles exist to be pulled. Say you can't lend the money, then add 3 reasons why, and watch what happens. Suddenly, they're solving your reasons for you. You'll have it back by Friday. I'll pay you Monday. Your no doesn't get overruled. It just quietly dissolves under the weight of its own justification. The fix here isn't a better argument. It's fewer words. A person who wants to argue needs your words to keep the argument alive. Take the words away, and there's simply nothing left to argue with. Number 5 is the person who uses your guilt as a leash. This one doesn't attack your boundary directly. They make you feel cruel for having one in the first place. After everything I've done for you, I guess I just care more than you do. A hurt little wow, okay? Followed by a silence built specifically to make you crawl back and undo what you just said. Notice what's happening. You went from protecting your time to apologizing for daring to protect it. And every explanation you offer to soften their hurt is you quietly handing the leash right back into their hand. Here's the truth that breaks the spell. Guilt, in this context, is just a boundary that hasn't finished forming yet. You don't owe it a defense. You let the silence sit there, uncomfortable, and you let that discomfort belong to them because it was always theirs to begin with. And the sixth type is really a mirror, because this pattern lives inside almost everyone to some degree. These are the people who only start respecting you once you stop explaining. For most people, your constant explaining doesn't read as honesty. It reads as an application for their approval. The moment you stop, the moment you say something once and simply let it stand there, unattended, something shifts in how they treat you. They lean in instead of pushing, because very little communicates quiet confidence like someone who isn't chasing agreement. You don't earn respect by being fully understood by everyone. You earn it by being settled enough in your own decision that their understanding stops being a requirement. Now here's the piece of psychology tying every single one of these together, and it's almost unfair once you see it. The more you explain yourself, the guiltier you tend to sound, even when you've done absolutely nothing wrong. Our brains are wired to read a stack of justifications as a sign that something's being hidden. Think about how a person over-explaining where they were last night gets less believable with every added sentence, not more. So over-explaining to the wrong person doesn't just fail to convince them. It actively works against you because defensiveness reads as guilt, no matter how true your words are. There's a rule sitting quietly underneath all six of these people, and it's this. You can only persuade someone who's actually open to changing their mind. When someone genuinely wants to understand you, a few honest sentences are more than enough. When someone wants control, no amount of clarity will ever be sufficient because your words were never the goal. Your compliance was. So here's exactly what you do with this. Before you explain anything to anyone, ask yourself one quiet question first. Is this person trying to understand me or trying to manage me? If it's understanding, explain freely, because that is genuinely where closeness is built. And withholding from someone who's actually safe just creates distance you didn't need. But if it's control, you switch completely. You give them the short version and you keep the rest for yourself. Lines that need no defense behind them. No, that doesn't work for me. I've decided. I'd rather not get into it. Full stop, no footnotes attached. If they push back, you don't reach for new reasons. You calmly repeat the exact same line, word for word, as many times as it takes. Because the repetition itself is the message. It tells them the door is closed, not cracked. And sometimes the strongest answer available to you is no answer at all. You simply stop showing up to argue. A decision was never supposed to need a legal defense. It only ever needed to be final. Here's what starts happening once you actually live this out. People stop seeing you as someone who can be moved with enough pressure or the right follow-up question. Your no stops sounding like a first offer and starts sounding like a wall. And the people who only stuck around because you were easy to argue with, easy to wear down, easy to guilt into one more explanation, they start quietly fading out of your life. That's not a loss. That's the filter finally doing its job. You were never required to make everyone understand you in order to stand behind your own decisions. That desperate pull to be understood by people who were never actually trying, that was the handle they'd been holding onto the entire time. Once you let go of needing it, there's nothing left in their hand. If this one hit close to home, the next step is what happens the moment you stop feeding people entirely. Not just with explanations, but with reactions, attention, any response at all. That's coming in the next video. That is Law 58, the rule no one taught you. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these six is the hardest one for you to walk away from? Because most people already know the answer, they've just never said it out loud.